Yeah, I should win just because you had the Timberwolves in the 8th seed.
Vasilevsky's been playing really well, and the Lightning have a great offense.
Yeah, it was a tremendous shot, and I've come to expect it from LeBron. I would say I wish the best for the Red Sox, but as a Yankees fan, that's really hard for me to do.
The biggest addition to me is Jalen Brunson.
Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, and that's all I have to say. He's still a top 5 quarterback in this league, and there's nothing really anyone can do about it.
Why'd you have to name him? Like, seriously? Like, thanks, man.
Who would have thought 5 years ago that the Clippers and Nets would be facing in the finals?
How is Joe Burrow going to get the ball to them if his butt is already on the ground?
Crazy. And for the fans at home,
Hello, I'm Cy Mendenhall, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week. I'm Kevin, and I am joined by the point man. It could be the quarterback in the NFL, Austin.
I wouldn't go that far, Kevin, even though I do appreciate it. But today, it's a question that I find very, very interesting because when you hear coaches, when you hear players, when you hear fans, everyone says we got to start the year off hot. We got to start 3-0 if it's the first 3 weeks, or 2-1. But here we have some examples. Kevin is in control of the 2018 examples. I'm in control of the 2021 examples of years where this was just not true, or teams where this is just not true, where they either started very hot or started very cold and their season ended very, very differently. So I'll let Kevin go first. I don't really care which one you start off with first between the two teams, either the really good or the really bad, but show us a team that definitely proved this fact wrong.
Of starting off really well and then doing badly?
Or either that starting off bad
gotcha.
means that you have to end off bad, or starting off good means you have to end off good. I don't really care which way you go, just whatever team you want to start out with.
All right. So I'm going to start with the 2018 Miami Dolphins. This is a team that went 3-0. They beat the Tennessee Titans, the New York Jets, and the Oakland Raiders, all one-score games. And then they ended up 7-9 and second in the AFC East, but missing the playoffs. Their team, this is Adam Gase's year. This is crazy. This is a guy I used to be a fan of. Huge OC. I believed in him when he was with the Dolphins, and it did not work out. But a team that started off bad was the New England Patriots. They were 2-2 at the end of week 4, but they were 1-2 at week 3. They had beaten the Texans, but had lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and then lost to the Detroit Lions. That's a stickler. But then this is the team that went on to win the Super Bowl in the defensive match against the Rams.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, these are two teams that either started off bad or started off good and didn't end off the same way. What do you take from this? What did these teams lack? Why did not starting off the year, how they ended it, not affect them or affect them in a way that you wouldn't expect?
I'm going to go with the Patriots first. I think it's just the experience, and I think we may have seen this in Man in the Arena. It's kind of a feeling out process, or that's what Brady viewed as it as a feeling out process. And when you have a quarterback that's experienced, they learn from their mistakes. And you also had an experienced head coach in Bill Belichick. With the Dolphins, I believe they had Ryan Tannehill. And this was, this was Adam Gase's third year? Yeah, third year. But he really didn't do well the previous years. And it seems like they kind of played some weak teams, especially in the Jets and Raiders. And then they had some tough schedules. Like, of course, they had to face the Patriots, the Packers. But I think they just started off really hot, and then some teams, I think this could also be some teams adjusted to Adam Gase, and he didn't know how to adjust back.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I do think head coaching really does kind of say why this works or why it doesn't work. And I think that's a great example. I'll go into mine. This is 2021. I'll start like you did with a team that started off very, very hot and ended off horribly. The 2021 Carolina Panthers. This team started Sam Darnold to start the year, and people really viewed it as his last chance as a starter. We'll see if it does end up to be true. But this 21 team started off the year 3-0. They beat the New York Jets 19-14, the New Orleans Saints 26-7, and the Houston Texans 24-9. Started off 3-0, but ended the year 5-12. After this game, or the last game of the start off win streak, they ended up ending the year 2-12. Those only 2 wins coming against the Atlanta Falcons and the Arizona Cardinals. Kevin, this was just a really, 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 really bad team come the end of the year.
Yeah, I remember that, and it was just shocking. But yeah, and that was the Panthers.
Yes, it was the Panthers, and this is a team that you mentioned before. Going into Week 4, had a matchup against the Cowboys, and the Cowboys did end up beating them by 8, and really kind of catapulted the Cowboys into, or they were in the middle of a win streak then, and they kind of kept riding it on.
Yeah, and I just remember the talk of Sam Darnold. Oh, it's figured out, and I believe it was the first year of Matt Rule, or second year maybe.
It was his second year.
Okay, second year. So yeah, that's something interesting between Adam Gase and Matt Rule, 2 guys that I believe had a lot of hype, and then they just didn't live up to it.
Yeah, and then we go back to another one of the best coaches of all time, the 2021 Chiefs. This was a team that started 1-2. They ended up beating the Browns, but then lost back-to-back games against the Ravens and the Chargers. Even though the Chargers didn't make the playoffs that year, and the Ravens didn't make the playoffs that year, 2 teams they lost to, they were still quality matchups. They did start the year 3-4 as well. So they went 1-2, and then they won, and then they lost, and they won, and they lost. So they 3-4, but ended the year 12-5. Between weeks 8 and 16, they did not lose a single game, and they kind of got themselves back, and kind of in the same way, like you mentioned with Tom Brady, it really is a feeling out process sometimes with a great QB. And even though this team did fall short of what the 2018 Patriots did, they still made it to the AFC Championship game, losing to the Bengals.
And I believe, is that the 3rd year of Mahomes?
I think it's his 4th.
His 4th, okay.
Yeah, I'll check real quick. Yeah, it was his 4th year as a starter.
Okay, so there may have been struggles where he was just adjusting, and I think that's where it helps where you have coaches. And I do think, I know you had a question. I hope it's okay if I'm jumping into it. I think it's important you start off well, but you don't have to go 4-0 to have a great season. You don't even have to have a winning record, I think.
What do you want to see out of the Cowboys, or really any team, through their first 3 weeks? Because some of these teams still go 3-0, and that's what you want to see. But there was obviously some cracks much deeper down that either the team didn't realize then, or they just couldn't prevent from becoming much bigger problems.
That's a good question. From what I see, I want close games. I don't want a blowout, because I would probably freak out over that, and dumb mistakes of just messing off handoffs or fumbles, just lazy things that don't show preparation. And I'd like to see tough fights. And if there are mistakes made, such as, or if they just don't complete a pass, well, I think that can work. I just want something to build off them. And even if you do start 3-0, you just got to keep your mind ready for the next game.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Keeping your mind ready for the next game, making sure that you are very, very tuned in to what you need to do right is definitely very important. And I do think this is also why teams don't jump really high power rankings wise if they start off the year really low or really high. The start of the year is not really when you need to be playing your best football. It's at the end.
Yes, and I think that really comes to coaching. You don't want to wear yourself out at the beginning, and you also want to keep your team motivated.
Yeah, keeping your team motivated is definitely very important.
But yeah, I'm interested in what happens this year. I was thinking of the Cowboys this year because they have the Jets, Giants. Those are the first 2 games, and I was actually talking to my mom, and I was like, we'll see. But if they go 0-2, it's not the best thing, but I don't think it's the end of the world.
Yeah, definitely it's not the end of the world, especially because they've proven before that they can make those make the playoffs. So they really just need to show improvement at the end of the year, not at the beginning.
Yeah, and I believe that's really it. Even if you lose to a really bad team like we saw with the Chiefs last year against the Colts.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that's a really good discussion, and I'm glad we got into it. I'll let you close it out.
This is the first time in a while I get to close it out. I think it's the first in like at least 50 or 60.
Yeah, I haven't been
episodes.
best at handing it off. That's my bad.
It's all good. You ended off better than I do, but thank you guys for listening, and we hope you catch you in the next one.